4 meters a second, 3 meters a second, 2 meters a second. That is pretty good indeed. And let's cut off. Oh, and we're rolling. We're rolling, we're rolling, we're rolling. Abort landing. We will have to try that again. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program with me, Spacefish, and welcome to the beautiful Kerbal Space Center. Now for a start, I just actually spotted some debris out here which we can probably recover. I think that may be our launch thingies? I'm kinda unsure, to be honest, but we can probably find out. That's probably some free money for us to recover, so let's go and check that out real quick before we do anything else here. And then we will move on to our actual current mission, which... where is this? Here. Let's fly that. Let's see what it is. I think it's probably our launch clamps, but we'll go check that out real quick. Maybe some free money for us to recover, so... yeah, let's see how much we get back from that. Maybe the launch clamps are not that expensive after all, and it seems like that is indeed the case. Kind of a bit laggy out here, I'll have to say, but we will return to the Space Center, and hopefully the rest of the game is not going to be as laggy as this, because that is going to be quite the issue. But with that said then, let's go and quickly just recover this debris that we have up here, which actually seems to give us like 200 bucks each, which is kind of interesting, because I would just quickly like to see how much these clamps are, to see how much of the money we actually recover. I would imagine that is actually not very expensive. Wow, okay, so it basically doesn't cost us anything at all to use. So it's very interesting to know, just something I wanted to quickly check out. But if you'll remember, in the last episode, we actually made our way over to the moon once more, in hopes of actually landing on it today. So very much looking forward to that, and you can see our lander on its way out to the moon right here. And let's go and fly it. Let's go and make our way over there today, closing the orbit, and it's probably actually time for our very first lunar landing ever. So that is probably going to be quite cool indeed. The only thing I'm currently kind of wondering about is, to be honest, that these outer engines are going to run out of fuel on landing, which may kind of render them a bit useless, and also mean that we will be a bit low on fuel. Now these fuel lines, as far as I know, are kind of one way, but could we theoretically? No, we can't really transfer this out. I'm not sure what this is kind of supposed to mean. Does this stop the fuel transfer, or I'm really not sure anymore how to actually transfer fuel over. Oh, okay. So this would be the way then. I think this may theoretically potentially block the fuel transfer over to the center stage, which may be a good idea, so we kind of can use those engines for our lunar landing. But I'm not 100% sure on that, so give me a quick second. I'll just check on that for a minute, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, and back we are. So as you can see, we have kind of already made a bit of our way over to the moon in the meanwhile while I was checking things, and I have honestly not really quite found out if I can disable this stuff anyway. So if you know, please let me know down below in the comments. I think we'll just do a cautious landing instead, so that just in case these outer engines won't work anymore, we still kind of have enough thrust on the main engine, hopefully, so we can still make a safe landing. Because we do, after all, of course, kind of need these outer stages to have like some stability going for us when we do our actual landing. So yeah, let's hope that that won't be the case. We'll have to see how much delta V I kind of need for my lunar insertion burn. The thing is, we only have really 455 meters a second apparently left in these outer tanks in total, so I don't think they'll last all the way to the lunar surface, but well, one way or another, I'm sure we will make it work somehow. But other than that, let's just do a quick test of our landing gear, which is insanely loud. I think I may have done this the last episode already and been like, why in the world is this that loud? That is kind of crazy, but that works, so that's good to know. Just double checking that, and well, I don't know. So, I mean, yeah, of course we could just kind of transfer fuel from the inside to the outside, but I don't think it's really that easy then to kind of just match the mass of all these outside tanks, because it's all going to be arbitrary numbers and it's going to be absolutely crazy. So I'd rather just keep it like this and, well, do a little more of a cautious approach. So that's the idea right there. Let's just check that we're fine and everything else. Not fuel, but electricity is still very, very fine indeed. And, well, apart from us having wasted a bit of our science junior, unfortunately, everything is pretty much going to plan. So very, very beautiful there indeed. But let's go and actually start making our way over to the moon then, with Jeb and Bill anxiously awaiting their arrival at the lunar surface. But that will actually take a bit of time. As you can see, we're already 4 hours into space, and we're just now starting to make it closer to the moon. Our orbit, as you can see, is starting to slow down in comparison to the, well, not Earth to Kerbal, but now kind of becoming a bit more rapid in comparison to the moon, as we have now been caught in its orbit. Now let me go and slow this down for a second here, actually, so we can go and plan a bit of a maneuver, and let's center this around the moon and actually go to the periapsis right here, add a maneuver, and go and slow down a fair bunch here. Now we could probably just descend right to the lunar surface, but I also kind of want to time it so we are in maybe at least half interesting of a spot, and definitely on the bright side of the moon. Now I know there's like some artifacts and other cool stuff scattered around the moon, but I would not know where exactly to find them right now, and maybe it is kind of cooler after all to just find them by having a rover and driving around the lunar surface eventually. So maybe something for a later stage. But as you can see, I mean, just closing the orbit around the moon is going to be 240 meters a second, which is more than half of our current delta V. So I would assume probably the burn, just to kind of get the orbit a bit lower and get us closer to the lunar surface, is probably already going to deprive these engines of all our fuel. So we'll see about that. We'll see about the actual landing. But for now, we've got our maneuver plan, and it's going to be another hour and 28 minutes, as you can see right there. So a whole lot of time. I mean, just just our orbital velocity should be giving away that we will not be making it on these meters a second, because, I mean, just to kind of get ourselves, like, matched to the lunar speed before we land, not even, like, counter the gravity of the moon, would already here be more than delta V we've left in these outside tanks. So, well, unfortunately we're going to have to do it on the main engine, which, you know, that this thing should not be all too crazily heavy, I hope, so shouldn't be too troublesome, but we will see about that indeed. Now, before we actually get anywhere close to this node, I would just kind of like to actually go and align the proper way here, so we are already on our marker, and you can see the rocket is a bit sluggish, you know, we don't really have any RCS, just SAS, but that is still doing the job just fine for us, and we are on our marker right here. And, well, let's go get a bit closer. We've got a burn time of 10 seconds, so that's really not too long overall. We'll just start 5 seconds ahead of the burn, go 5 seconds past the burn, and then that should be about it. So I'll let this timer run down to like about half a minute, a bit slower maybe, and then we'll just kind of focus, get the last bits of adjustments done here and there. And, well, I'll have my button here on the Y, no, my finger on the Y button right here, and we'll go for a full burn in 10 seconds. And that should bring us into a nice and hopefully rather stable orbit around the moon. So, closely watching the clock right here, and let's get going as the rocket shakes and we nicely get our burn done right here. Now you can see there's like some slight tiny bits of adjustments to make here, so let's do that and absolutely fat finger the flippin' Y button again. Beautiful, isn't it? But, well, surprisingly I'm still pretty much on spot with a burn. That was a rather chaotic one once more. We are still at a very high apoapsis compared to what we were planning, just for 7.2 meters a second. That's kind of surprising. Maybe gonna go and, you know, bring that in a bit more. But yeah, so that's kind of nice. The last few meters a second here seem to be rather trouble-free in terms of closing in our orbit. Now, we will firstly get rid of this maneuver now, and now it's kind of a bit of a task of actually planning how we want to do this next. You know, we could do an maneuver right here already and come in at a very shallow angle, but it would probably mean that we would come in with a lot of lateral speed while being very close to the lunar surface, so I'm not too convinced that's the best and safest approach to do it, so we'll do it a bit later here. We'll do a bit harder of a burn for a start, which is probably a little less efficient in terms of delta V overall, but given that we're probably only going to be landing on 1 instead of 4 engines, I would kind of prefer to go for a bit of a safer approach right here. So we'll just kind of try and choose an angle of, like, approach to the lunar surface that looks about a little bit more comfortable, and then we can just drag this around a bit and kind of see what our landing spot shall be. And you can see, I mean, even this is still very, very shallow angle, and I feel it's probably going to be a good bit of a challenge, but we can slow this down further while we're up here, right? We don't have to wait till the very last second. Now, in terms of where the sun is, right, I think this is sunrise and this is sunset on the moon. So I'm kind of inclined to... I would really actually like to check out this big crater here, but I'm not too sure how well or not well suited it may be. So we could go and bring this a lot further to the left here and try and go for that. Now the thing is, if this is sunset, we may be landing in the dark by the time we get there. So I think that is a bit of a risk, but this thing here is also a risk on the other hand side. Then I'm kind of trying to think which way the moon would be turning, but I don't think I really have a way to tell right now. So I think we honestly need to avoid the two big craters. As much as I would really like to check that out, I think we kind of have to avoid it. We could go for something like this, and if the sun is setting here, just go for a very late burn to kind of match our lateral velocity. If the sun is rising here, go for a bit of an earlier burn and actually make the touchdown in the crater instead. I think that's the way that we're going to do it. So 87 meters a second required for our burn down, so that's for the time being going to be good. We're going to have a bit left for our actual slowdown burn. I don't think we'll have enough for the actual landing, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But that's going to be the plan then, as we itch ever closer to the lunar surface. Now let me actually go the right way here with our marker and already pre-align. It's going to be in 5 minutes, this maneuver, so it's not going to be much time that we really have left here till the whole operation commences. So that is us aligned to the marker though. Let's get going closer to the burn. And it's only going to be 3 seconds, so that is going to be one very, very short burn. Hopefully with a little less fat fingering than usual, as the sun rises above the moon once more. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? We are going to be down there in a few minutes, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's definitely happening this episode, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. Now, the one advantage may be, with us not using these outer engines, that we can't accidentally blow up any other gear with the heat that we're producing, which should in theory not be happening anyways, but, well, you all know me, you never know what you can expect when I play Kerbal Space Program. Everything may be blowing up, but the timer's coming close, so let's go for the burn, and let's go for some last bits of fine-tuning here and there. Just another meter here, and that should be good enough indeed. So I think this is just a bit hidden by the maneuver right now, but this is pretty much spot on, so absolutely beautiful here. And that sets us on a landing course toward the moon. Now, as you can see, we've still got 428 meters a second of difference to the moon, so gonna be kind of hurt to actually do that with that much delta V left, but we are on the right course. We are on target to landing on the moon finally. So absolutely beautiful. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And we have got surface speed here, which is probably the indicator we want to be using now, not orbital speeds. So we will indeed use that from now on as we're getting closer. And, well, let's go and actually get a bit closer, I think. So it is still very, very bright out here, so I honestly kind of think we could probably afford to try and make the crater landing, not gonna lie. Is it this crater here? Seems to very much be. Now the thing is, we would be landing at the kind of northernmost edge of the crater, so it would be kind of a bit itchy, but it is not too bad after all. We can do something like that, which would take us 158 meters a second, which is not too bad. We don't have quite the speed needed for it, and it's going to be rather soon, so we got to decide here, and I think we're going to do it. I'm going to do this a bit early, because we're going to run out on the main, on the separate stages in a second here, and as you can see, we are now a bit slower in terms of acceleration. That leaves us with 3,000 meters a second left though, so that should be pretty fine indeed, I hope. Let's do our last fine bits and bobs of adjustment, and you can see just how much delta V we've got remaining. I mean, there's 277 meters a second of surface velocity right now. Now that is going to increase a bit due to gravity and all, but we've got 3,000. Like, I mean, to counteract gravity and get into orbit, I'm pretty sure we will use like 600 meters a second, maybe 700. You know, and then we just got to do the burn over to Kerbin, which is going to be another bit. But honestly, we'll have so much left. We can do an orbit around Kerbin and then kind of slowly descend. I think we're going to be totally fine in terms of delta V. So that's great news. And you got to kind of remember, we're going to ditch all this other stage, so this delta V number here is going to actually go up. So that's going to be nice, that's going to be neat. Let's check the map though for our current course, and as you can see, that is now pretty decent. And the reason why I've kind of left it at the very edge of the crater here is that, of course, we're not going to just stop at the last second. We're kind of going to slow down right here ish, so that we'll probably land more in the middle. That's why I kind of did what I did here, if that makes sense. And we're going to actually land in the crater, which was our target. Absolutely beautiful. I'm kind of trying to look around right now to see if I see any like artifacts or cool monuments or anything. I do not seem to be able to see any, so well, unfortunately not going to be able to go to any at the moment, but we'll have rovers and stuff eventually. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up doing that sometime as well. Now, the only thing that I think we're going to have to watch out very much here with is that we, of course, don't have any RCS, so it's going to take us a little longer to actually maneuver towards, like, the directions we want to go, which is, in the end, going to kind of, well, just make things a bit harder. I mean, we've got swiveling engines, so whenever we're burning, it's going to be rather fine indeed, probably. When we are not, though, it is just going to take us a little bit longer. Now, the thing is, I would probably at some point just want to totally cancel out my lateral movement. So we're potentially not going to just stay on the deorbit marker here all the time, but actually going to go over here to kind of get rid of some of that lateral movement, as I said, before we touch down, just to have a bit of an easier landing. But for the time being, I would like to actually get into the realms of the crater. Now, this thing here is going to be an interesting point, because we kind of need to pick a landing spot. And I think I want to slow down right here, because this thing down there does not look too bad in terms of a landing spot to me, actually. So let's try and get rid of that lateral velocity here, as we see the marker there move ever further up. And everyone's very happy down there indeed, which is good news. And I think that's going to about seal the deal here. So let's move back to the deorbiting marker, because we do need to get rid of some of that surface speed now. As I said, we're kind of going to move slow. I'm going to extend the landing gear already. We're going to slow down to a bit more of comfortable speed. And you can see, I think we've got more than enough acceleration for this still, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. Not quite happy with the lateral velocity still, so we're going to go and cancel that out a bit more. Kind of just move our marker ever further towards the top, as you can see right there. That seems a lot better. Now, that may put us in the slight crater down below, which may or may not be an issue. We will see about that. But now gravity pulls us back in a bit, of course. So, what we will do is we'll just keep the engines running at a very slow pace, just to kind of slowly cancel out that speed, but not too much, because of course, you know, we still want to kind of approach the moon, not go away from it, but we don't want to just pick up more and more speed at the same time. Now, this landing spot, if I was here, I would be kind of happy. I'm kind of here-ish, I think, so kind of a bit wary of landing on any slopes or anything, to be honest, because I don't want to have the rocket tip over. That may be a bit of an issue indeed. We are a bit fast for my taste, so we will be slowing down a bit now. A bit more indeed. And we'll kind of try and keep it at like a steady, say like 60-ish meters a second should be more than enough. So this is kind of, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to concentrate a bit more here. I'm trying to steer this thing away a bit from the crater edge, if that makes sense. That's why I'm kind of going a bit back and forth and not keeping the marker like perfectly spot on the middle. And we're gonna go and cut off the engines here a bit just to fall some. Now, no, not that direction. This is kind of more the direction. No. No. I hope this is pretty alright. Can we stay on the marker, please? That would be good. Thank you very much. Gonna slow down a bit more now. Gonna go down to like 30-ish meters a second. You really want to manage that speed, because if it picks up too much and you get close to the Munar surface and it'll come faster than you think, you will not have the time to react and get the speeds down to the speeds you need for a safe-ish touchdown. So managing that speed at all time is like one of the biggest challenges on the landing. And well, I mean, as you can see, this is now starting to become rather close, so I really want to watch out with that. I think I've kind of maneuvered us into a decent-ish spot in terms of the landing. I was kind of getting very close to the crater edge, which, as I said before, kind of risks tipping over the rocket, but we're a bit more in the middle now, so this is not too bad of a spot. And you can just see how big the crater walls of this big crater that we're landing in actually are. It doesn't look that crazy from space. It looks a little more crazy on the map, but as you can see, I mean, this is actually quite impressive, isn't it? So this should hopefully be kind of smooth-ish in terms of a landing surface, and let's hope we're going to be good. My delta V indicator isn't going down, which I really don't like. That seems a bit weird to me, I'll have to say, so we'll have to kind of check that in just a second. But as you can see now, 8 meters a second, we can already see our shadow coming down here, and got a bit of lateral velocity going, so we want to cancel that out a bit. We want to lower the engine speed a bit more again, so we don't go upwards instead of downwards, and just kind of manage this very, very, very closely as we get ever closer. 4 meters a second, 3 meters a second, 2 meters a second. That is pretty good indeed, and let's cut off. Oh, and we're rolling. We're rolling. Abort landing. We will have to try that again. That was a very close call right there. Oh, God. Okay. Now, it is time to cancel out that lateral velocity again. And you will have to be ready to abort like this if it really needs to be. You saw my rocket starting to tip over. It really tried there. But we did fix it very last second there indeed. And, well, got the issue out of the world, luckily, because that could have ended in a very, very big explosion very quickly right there. So it can be a bit intimidating like that at times, and you can see kind of the issue of my maneuverability of my rocket now coming into play as I try and maneuver this around a bit better while we are not burning, which, well, as you can see, it's kind of a bit sluggish with just SAS, so that's why you kind of probably want some RCS for landers, and don't do it like me, basically. But we will try for another one. We've got some fuel left, so we will try for another one here indeed. And gonna go very, very slowly. Try not to do anything stupid. Alright, slow her down a bit more as we bring her in, and it's still a bit sloped in here, so really don't like it. I mean, the kind of tip of my rocket has a very, oh no, again, uh-oh, I'm not sure I can save this, I'm not sure I can save this, uh-oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm telling you all, that was like a whole nother level of craziness. And now we've got a bit of an issue here because we've got some crazy lateral velocity going on. And we won't be able to cancel out that quickly. I'm kind of seeing my oxidizer on liquid fuel going down very rapidly here, which I really don't like. We're burning through all our fuel doing this landing. Why is it still telling me I've got 3,000 meters a second of delta V left? Because that is definitely not the case here. My whole fuel estimations may have been wrong on this mission. Let's try this spot. Maybe a bit more flat. I may be able to land this but not take off again, to be honest, at this point. We've done 2 aborts. I'm getting a bit worried here. I'm getting a wee bit worried here. We're bringing her in again. At a bit high over speed, but we can slow that down. And that's us landed. Wow. So that was one crazy ride. We are kind of landed on the surface of the moon, but our oxidizer and liquid fuel are way lower. Way lower than I would really like them to be. And my delta V calculations are not updating anymore, which is a bit of an issue. I think we may potentially end up at a spot here where we will need a rescue mission for these people. I am kind of worried, not gonna lie, if you couldn't hear that already. But for the time being, I think it is time to celebrate. For one, my lander design actually made it on top of the moon, while it kind of was honestly a bit of a fail, because I think the center of mass on this thing is just a bit too high up. It just kept tilting on the smallest embankments. We found a spot that was kind of flat enough, though, after multiple attempts, and we have landed on the moon, so it is time to celebrate for now, and then we'll see if we actually manage to bring the Kerbals home. But there we go, first touchdown on the lunar surface then. I think in the next episode it's actually time to step out of the pod then, go for a bit of a walk, plant down our flag, get some samples, get some science done, and hopefully we can somehow make it back home. I'm not too convinced yet, I'll have to say. I mean, we burnt way more delta V than I would have liked there, and this kept me very safe and secure all the time until I kind of found out that this is actually what we're dealing with. So I think it's going to be a very interesting and curious one if we even make it back home in the next episode then. But for today, with our first lunar landing ever and nearly 2 explosions, we will end it off right here. So I hope you all very much enjoyed the episode. As always, if you did, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Let me know if you think I'll make it back home in the next one down below in the comments as well. And let me know if you know about that fuel transfer. I would be very much interested in that. And if you're new to this channel and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way, as always everyone, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope I'll catch you in the next one very soon. Ciao.